think there is something that 40k does not get credit for. A lot of people who watch this channel might get the wrong end of the stick, and they might think that I don't like 40k anymore. That is not true. I really like 40k. Some people might think I don't like competitive 40k anymore. That is not true. I really enjoy playing competitive 40k anymore. However, I also think that the game does have some flaws and that there's a lot of room for improvement. And I do think that 10th edition, whilst it's done a great job of balancing the game, there's just something about it that maybe it's the flavor, maybe it's the fact that maybe I've played too many games competitively, maybe I've burned out a little bit from it, but there's definitely something about it that there's a few problems with it. You know, it ain't perfect, I'm openly critical about that, but I still really like playing 40k, especially competitively. And the reason for this is simple. And I think it's something that is hugely taken for granted by 40k players right now. Okay? The 40k community is lovely. By and large, it is lovely. When I first started playing this game, the term "that guy," you know, that guy is in like, don't be that guy, because that guy was a complete dickhead, was so relatable because every single club had at least one that guy. And to be honest, towards the end of like 7th edition, the majority of the people playing the game were that guy. Or maybe not the majority, but like not the majority. A large proportion of the people playing were that guy. It was full of quite toxic, quite gamey players who would use all sorts of shenanigans to try and or just downright just cheat to get their way. And you know, that's why so many of my stories, my tales of a tournament gamer, come from that sort of 7th to 8th edition period, because that was the great transition when the community went through a huge revival, a huge revolution, a huge evolution, and a lot of that guys got pushed out. You know, the idea, you know, gotchas, this whole thing of players intended, this whole thing of gotchas and not being allowed, that whole culture did not exist prior to 8th edition. It came about because of 8th edition, because 8th edition created a huge interest in the game. Loads of new people came in, and all of the old guard who had been getting away with the fucking shenanigans basically were dragged into the cold light of day and were basically named and shamed. YouTube videos were made, things were caught on live stream, all this kind of stuff. And basically, like, they all, this new culture was established. And to this day, this culture still exists. Now, if you want to know what caused, we never had the term players and play for intention. We never had that term until 8th edition. And what happened was, it was caught on live stream. There's an Imperial Guard player versus an Eldar player. The Imperial Guard player said, I just want to get my reserves out because I don't want to forget them. And the Eldar player went, yes, that's absolutely fine. Do you want me to help set them up? And the Imperial Guard player went, yes, that would be lovely, thank you. He set his reserves up, and the Eldar player went, right, you finished your movement phase. And the Guard player was like, what? No, I was just getting these out because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget them. The Eldar player went, well, when you've placed your reserves, that's the end of your movement phase. How am I meant to know? Like, I thought you'd done movement. And the Guard player went, no, I made it very clear that I wasn't. The Elder player went, well, I'm not letting you do any more movement. I'm not doing rules as written, you can't do any movement. And the Eldar player had done it on purpose to help the guy set his models up so he could then fuck him with this. And this was so this was so in 7th edition, this would have almost been, you know, if this has happened, the TO would have been like, yeah, okay, yeah, rules is written, you know, like, because that was the culture. But in 8th edition, because all the new blood came in and all the people that were seeing this that weren't in the clique, essentially, everyone saw this and went, that's clearly unacceptable. And so the guy that, and so 8th edition, that was, if people say, if you ever seen a moment when history was made, it wasn't a major point in history, but that was a point in wargaming history right there, where 40k fundamentally changed. And that, a lot of people don't even know about that incident anymore. But that incident right there is what created this whole play for intention. Oh, I know you're not I know you're an inch away from that wall, because you could be. Oh, mate, I forgot to bring my reserves in, but I said I wanted to do that secondary. Yeah, of course, mate, you declared it out loud. Not a problem. Yeah. Like, oh, mate, like, I forgot to move this knight. Do you mind if I move it? Yeah, of course, no problem. And that culture of give and take, you know, came about. And that is one of the best bits about not only Warhammer 40k culture, but specifically about Warhammer competitive culture. And what's interesting is we've seen a whole bunch of there's been a bit of a trend recently that some 40k content creators have been jumping on, where casual players or people who maybe have not been known as competitive players have done videos like, I went to my first tournament. I think Rogue Hobbies did a video on this, and I think was it Aeons or Eons of Battle did a video on this, and he said, and both both people basically said, I went to a tournament thinking it was going to be fucking awful, and I came away finding that it was absolutely lovely, and everything that I thought I knew, all the stereotypes that I knew, that I'd heard about 40k competitive players, was wrong. Like, the people are not they were like, I had way more sportsman like games at the tournaments than I actually have the casual scene, where people seem like they're, you know, it's almost sometimes it's worse than the casual scene in 40k these days. And like, the armies are beautifully painted because, you know, people want to try and get best painted and all this kind of stuff, right? And there's painting standards, and, you know, you lose points if you're not painted, so people make sure their armies are painted and all that kind of stuff. And so 40k, what I'm saying here is 40k competitively has a phenomenal community, and it is very, very, very rare when you come across someone who is that guy, and when you come across someone who is difficult to be around. Like, whether, you know, sometimes you still have people who get emotional and get tilted at the table, but they're never getting emotional and tilted at you. Let's say they have a bad turn and they're like, fuck's sake, my dice is completely, you know, and they might even get a bit frustrated, but you know that ire isn't directed at you. They're just sort of, you know, getting off the chest and they're getting back in the game. You know, it's not directed at you. Like, and that, you know, that's happens, and that's actually acceptable behavior. Like, it's okay to be like, fucking hell, man. You know, but that's, you know, you can sympathize with it and you go, mate, you were so unlucky there. And you can almost bond over it. You know, that's like a good moment. So 40k is a really, 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 really good community, a really open community, a really understanding community. And this is especially true on the competitive scene. It is very, 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 very rare that you come across people who are that guy, and those that are, their reputation precedes them. And it is not, you know, their reputation precedes them in a huge way, something we talked about earlier this week, right? Like, because it's so rare now, if you are like that, people know you, and people know what you like, you know, and people will, I have seen it more than once, someone refuse a game because they're like, I'm not playing that guy. Why? Because I know what he's like, I'm not playing that guy, I refuse. I have people on my lists where I have people that I would refuse to play if I ever got paired into them based on their reputation, because I don't want that game, you know. And if it ever comes up, it'll be quite an interesting situation to try and handle. It'll be awkward as fuck. But yeah, I'm like, no, I'm not, sorry, like, mate, I'm not gonna do that. I'll just skip that round. I'm not playing that game. Yeah, because it's not like some of these people I've played in the past and some of these people that I've not played, but their reputation precedes them. Yeah. So this is something that 40k doesn't get enough credit for, how the community has evolved over time and continues to evolve, in my mind, in a very positive and in the right direction. And I think a lot of this comes from the new competitive community. The old competitive community, yeah, that was bad. The new competitive community, since the Great Reset of 8th edition, very, very good. Now, this circles back round to what I was saying earlier. So, X was asking, as someone who has never played bot action, what exactly is the issue with tuning your list for a tournament? Isn't that like expected? Do these folks we won't name cheat or what? So it's about attitude. There's nothing wrong with bringing a hard as fuck list to a tournament. There's nothing wrong with that. No one will begrudge you from bringing a hard as fuck list to a tournament. But there's definitely a couple of attitude problems. It's not even problems. There's definitely some old relics, some old school attitudes in games like bot action and old one. This is because these games are probably about a decade behind 40k in terms of their competitive community's evolution and their community's evolution. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that it won't take them 10 years. There's no doubt in my mind that if both these games become very mainstream, like what happened in 40k, where basically it became more mainstream, normal people came into the game and went, that's not fucking okay, and it basically got pushed out. The same thing would happen to bot action. The same thing will happen to old world, right? So it's more about the fact that on the competitive side, you have some very sweaty old school behaviors, like gotchas being allowed and playing for intention not being the norm. Like I had someone who didn't tell me they had Recce in their list, and I was like, and I went, okay, I'm going to move up here, and I'm going to say, I think I'm going to activate this unit and move here because then I'll be able to like target that unit and shoot it. And I moved, targeted the unit, and the guy went, well, I'm going to Recce away, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that unit had Recce, and he went, yeah, it's got Recce. I was like, oh, I'm not going to do that move then. And I was like, well, you've already declared it, and I went, yeah, but I would not have. You said you did. I actually was, because I've dealt with this kind of thing before. I'm an old hand. I'm an old hand at people trying to gotcha. I just turned my 40k brain on for a moment. I went flick, and I went, mate, I wouldn't have made that move if I knew that unit had Recce, and you didn't tell me that unit had Recce, so I'm going to take that move back. I hope that's okay. And I didn't say, is that okay? I said, I hope that's okay. Like, I'm not asking for fucking permission. And I took my move back. And my opponent was like, and I was like, I'm going to do something else. I literally just moved to the next situation. I just move past, because that's the way you've got to handle it. That's the way you've got to handle it. And then if they try and force the issue, then you get the TO over, and the TO over can make the decision. And then you're not getting into an argument with your opponent. That's the important thing, because you can't do that. That wouldn't happen in 40k. In 40k, if I like moved my unit forward, in 40k, if I went, I'm thinking of moving this unit forward to shoot that, and let's say there was a rule like Recce, like a reaction move or something, every single time I've encountered a situation that my opponent would go, don't forget that unit can react move. And I'd go, oh yeah, dude, thank you so much for reminding me. Or my opponent would have told me at the beginning of the game, and I would say, just remind me, has that unit got the reaction move? And they go, yes, he's got the reaction move. I'm like, thank you. Or they'll say, no, that isn't the one that's got the reaction move. It's that one. I'm like, okay, thank you. Like it just doesn't happen. The gotchas just don't happen really in 40k anymore. And if they do happen, it's really, 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 really not okay. Like really not okay. But you don't really, but the old world community and the bolt action community haven't quite got there yet. But they will get there. It just needs them to get a bit more mainstream, and then they will get there for sure. So it's basically an attitude. It's the attitude of the community is different. But what's also important to note is the attitude of casual players is also slightly less evolved in bolt action and old world, because people will get bent in 40k. No one gets bent out of shape if you bring a powerful list. A lot of people will go, that's fucking powerful. How did you do that? And then they'll take it on board and it might even inspire them for their own lists. In Old World, you know, I've had people be like, that list is fucking filthy. I wouldn't play that. I'd refuse to play that. And it's like, why? You're at a tournament. Nah, that shouldn't be allowed in the game. Why? You're at a tournament. They're not even complaining about my list. They're complaining about another list that they've seen. And they're like, yeah, that's unacceptable. That's not okay. That shouldn't be in the game. It's like, why? You're at a tournament. You know what you signed up for. You may not have come to win, but other people may have come to win. They're going to get what they want out of the event, and you're going to get what you want out of the event. But your way of playing isn't better than their way of playing, because they're not being dickheads. They've just brought something stronger. Yeah. Yeah. So, and you have, yeah, and so there's a little bit of evolution that needs to come on both sides of those communities, but it absolutely will come. And I think the big thing that's going to happen the big thing that's going to cause this to happen, this edition is people migrating from 40k to games like Old World and to games like Bolt Action, because they're getting a little burned out from 40k. So they get into that palate cleanser, they get into the game, and they bring that attitude with them, that attitude of, no, we play as intended. And someone tries to bring the bullshit against them, and they're like, no, we play as intended. Like, that's how it's fucking toy soldiers. There are no gotchas. I don't care that Reki, like, you know, or anything. I don't care. Like, you should have told me. You should have reminded me when I was telling you my plan out loud and playing with an open hand. Yeah. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.